Good morning, Midnight's Edge fans. We're here to tell you that we have so much more to offer you now at our Mixed Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Get up, wake up, this is your final warning. It's time for midnightsedge in the morning. The gang is ready to go and it's time for the show. It's time for midnightsedge in the morning.
Good morning, everybody. Greetings and welcome, TGIF. Thank God it is Friday. We have Script Doctor here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I've missed everybody, but I have been incredibly busy this first half of the year. So I got my first early afternoon off, and my first choice was to spend it with you instead of going to get groceries.
Yeah. Awesome. We also have Scribbles with us. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody. Doing pretty good.
Glad to have you. We also have Chris Brawley here. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, glad to be here. Glad it's Friday.
TGIF. And we also have Mr. Chato.
Just like to announce to everyone that after about 15 tries, I finally got a proper sourdough loaf.
Yay.
Hey.
They've all
Only
been
two.
intense.
Only took you 70 years.
Yes, that's great. Anyway, so there's my success.
That is a challenge. We did
It
that
is.
ourselves. The first 4 or 5 were terrible. And
Yeah, I
then-
know. Too dense.
Yep. Congrats.
Yeah, no. Thank you. Mazel tov. It was a great moment this morning where I unveiled my loaf.
What did you spread on it?
Butter and marmalade.
Speaking of butter, I just saw Last Tango in Paris for the first time the other night.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Deep cut.
Go get the butter.
Yeah. The favorite movie of the dairy industry.
It was not nearly as bad as I was expecting it
No.
to be. No.
It's very tasteful.
Actually, yeah, it was actually a pretty decent film overall. It's like I'm watching at the end of the movie, I'm like, boy, American Beauty owes this movie a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, like that movie is real butter. American Beauty is I can't believe it's not butter.
There you go.
Boy, Paul, you better step it up this morning. Andre's on his game.
Well, I've seen American Beauty. I enjoyed it, but I can't watch it again.
What, hit
the
too
American
close to
Beauty
home or
one?
something?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't like movies that give me anxiety.
Yeah, I was never a real fan of that film. I acknowledge that it was a well-made movie.
Yes, great performances.
But it's not a movie I want to watch multiple times again. Like I've seen it like twice and I'm like, that's enough. I don't really ever need to see this movie again in my life. Like it's just not one of those movies that makes me feel like a good person after watching it. Or like makes me feel good or anything like that. It's like, yeah, no, get away from me.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, The Last Tango in Paris, on the other hand, I thought it was all right. And then I did some research on it, and I found out that a lot of it was just bullshit that was out in the press. So, anyway,
And
that
speaking
being
of
said-
American Beauty, I watched. I told you reviewed the first episode of Mid-Century Modern, the gay sitcom featuring Nathan Lane. Speaking of,
and how did that go?
it's okay. It's okay. Linda Lavin is the best thing in the show, and she's dead.
Oh.
It's a silly show. And again, it's one thing that I'm sure the people are going to love the over-the-top, outrageous performances by the cast. They're cute and fun and outrageously gay. But I think it could have been better.
Interesting. And I know Script watched it as well because you two are like attached to the hip, and he's like your long lost son. So yeah. You sound like you enjoyed it too.
I saw the first episode, which I thought was okay. Yeah. There's a lot of new television shows popping up in the sweeps period, and then obviously some this fall. I think a decent portion of them might actually resonate with audiences. The question being is like, are they only going to be seeing it through streaming, or are they going to see it on network? So.
And the John Hamm show looks interesting on Apple Plus.
Yeah, Friends and Neighbors looks interesting. I've had a couple of colleagues really push how good the show was, so I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, that's one of my bookmark shows. Although I've suddenly got addicted. I've never seen it before. Blacklist.
Oh gosh, I remember that show.
James
and I'm
Spader.
really enjoying that. Not
Yeah,
gonna say it jumps the shark later on.
Oh, it does.
yeah.
You haven't seen that before.
Oh, boy, howdy, does it jump the shark? Yeah.
Yeah, but until then, I'm enjoying it. I usually generally watch a popular network show. I watch the first 3 years. Like Person of Interest, first 3 years, great. House, first 3 years, great.
Yeah.
I don't really see the point of watching a network show longer than 3 years. Okay, I get the point. I understand it. I've now been entertained enough.
You know what I usually notice that happens in that third year? Because you're right. There's a third year deal that goes in most shows.
Yeah.
You probably already know this. It's either A, the original showrunner either leaves, or B, the star gets a big fucking head. That's generally one of the two things that happens on every show that ruins them in the third season. You're right. Yeah.
Well, or they introduce the cousin or something, but
That's actually less than you would think, but you're not wrong. That's like the eighth season.
That's when ratings dip, is they bring in an extra character.
Yeah, it's usually the eighth season. Yeah, that's when Cousin Oliver and Seven and all those start showing up.
I'll tell you what
there's some exceptions.
The flag that you got to wait for is when they introduce the evil twin.
Yeah. Oh,
Bewitched. God, yeah.
Man, that made Bewitched even better.
It's Star Trek. Everything.
Come on.
Evil Kirk. Evil.
Bewitched might be one of the few that actually pulled it off, but yeah.
Well, they're in My Dream of Jeannie. There's the evil Jeannie.
No, that's might be the one I was thinking.
Come
of
on,
too,
see,
yeah.
listen to these exceptions you're already coming up with from your own.
Yeah, but we're
rules.
talking about exceptions from 70 fucking years ago, Chris.
Well, what about the evil leaper from Quantum Leap? That actually was some cool stuff.
Ooh,
I
that
like
was
that.
good too.
Season. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good
And
stuff.
now with streaming, I'm such a completist. You know, if it's there, I'll watch the whole thing. Person of Interest, I went all the way to the end. Newhart, all the way to the end. I mean, I'm just one of those. Monk, all the way to the end. You know.
I will. Well, I mean, when it comes to streaming, I watch the first show and the last show, and I decide whether I'm going to watch the rest of it.
No, you don't.
Oh,
Yes, I do.
How
I don't
very
believe
Albert
you.
Einstein of you.
That's what I do. I won't put up with this bullshit.
I understand where he's coming from.
I am not going to invest that much time and then find out that it limp dicked it in the very last episode.
Okay.
He's
Well, if you like
not
Nathan
young.
Lane, check out The Gilded Age. That's
Yeah, well, no, he's one of the many who got traumatized by Lost.
Oh shit.
Nathan, me?
yeah, you, Paul.
Yeah.
Paul is like me. He watched enough TV for so many years that he's seen so many good shows get canceled that after a while you learn that you just don't have time for this shit because they're just gonna fuck you over in the end anyway.
Yeah, they canceled V. I will never forgive
the one
them
I always think of.
canceling V.
Yeah.
And they cancelled Forever with the guy from Fantastic Four. That was
yeah, that's right.
Certainly didn't live up to the title.
I'll never get over it.
Ian Gothard.
Yeah, that's that one. That was a fantastic show.
Certainly didn't live up to the title at all.
My biggest sort of like I wish they hadn't canceled it was a show called Prophet with Adrian Pastar back on Fox. It was like Richard III in corporate America. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Would have fit better on HBO or something. One season, it was like perfect 90s. You're watching the villain do all the good stuff and he's the protagonist. It was wonderful.
Yeah, they canceled Time Tunnel after one season.
They did.
A lot of great shows usually do.
Antiquated Diet after 3, and Timothy Oliphant was actually like really, really, really good in that show.
Yeah.
Well,
and what about The Pretenders?
Good. Oh yeah.
The one show that never went bad was The Shield. Every season was great. All 7 are wonderful.
I do wish that we would get that Shield revival that the showrunner was talking about for a great many years there.
I know.
That was a cable show, though, wasn't it?
Yes,
It was
on
FX. It was FX.
Yeah, I've never saw a single episode of.
you
Well,
must
I need
know.
to remind,
It's
Amazing.
and I need to remind Paul that V was not only canceled once but twice early. That second version never even got a chance to flourish.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
The hot girls in the red leather outfits. Those were that black-haired woman. The snake woman.
I'm still bummed that they canceled Battle of the Network Stars.
Network Star. Do we have
that's still
Network
going
Stars
on.
anymore?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's still going on. It's just called Netflix now.
I love the Netflix stars. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, they keep canceling. Manimal. They canceled Manimal.
Oh, that was a famous one. That and you got those ones that are high concept that were just way out there, like
terrible.
Manimal and
terrible show.
And Cop Rock and some
Auto
other ones
Man.
just like,
Time
Auto
Track.
Man, yes.
Time Tracks. Oh, Time Tracks was great.
The musical cop show was terrible.
Yes.
Yeah,
Rock
they
was
they put a lot of money and an ad behind that, and wasn't it Bochco was part of that
Bochco,
too?
yeah.
Yep. Steve Bochco.
MTM.
That was like one of the biggest flops in television history. Like, anyway, let's see what you guys are talking about out there. We got Ruby Hoove, who gifted a membership. Thank you for that, Ruby Hoove. Dark King says the new Predator looks like a Norwegian delicacy.
This is true, especially from the west of the country, where you have many prawns and stuff like that. There's some definite similarities there. Looks a little bit like a small hovet as well. That's like that's a decapitated sheep's head. So yeah, there's some Norwegian cuisine for the acquired tastes. Let's put it that way. And I can absolutely see why you'd be saying that. But still, I would much rather eat a pork than a predator. So yeah. And
sorry, my PC's crashing. Anyway, Mark Fields says positive vibes to you all. Thank you for that, Mark Fields. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle gifted 5 memberships. Thank you for that. And then we got Patrick Robinson who says saw Until Dawn last night. As someone who played the game, I think fans would like it. It is connected to the game. Fun movie, 7 out of 10. But how popular is the game series? Like, I'm not real familiar with it, so somebody has to.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
No. Well, Until Dawn, it's called.
Don't know it.
Don't know it.
Yeah, it's kind of a choose your own adventure, multiple ending, and it's sort of like an interactive movie, the original game, and there's been some other things to it. I've heard that the movie is meh, but I'm not a fan of the game, so I couldn't say for sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, there you go. There's a recommendation for Until Dawn. Dark King says busy script doctor is good script doctor. Well, hopefully he's busy writing some good stuff.
I would also add to that, busy script doctor is good Hollywood.
Oh.
I'm hoping.
And then we got Dr. Long Dongler sending us in £1.99 with a thumbs up to remind you to pound that thumbs up if you haven't already. And then we got Hyperguyber 2 says this Predator looks like he brings knives to school events.
Oh, no.
Oh God.
Oh, too soon. Too soon.
Well, he is young and he's an outcast or something, isn't he? So I guess it fits.
Yeah, well, this is one of 2 Predator projects we're getting in the next, I think, a few months here, a year or so. But so needless to say, a lot of folks are talking about the looks of this Predator.
It's terrible.
And, it's not very good. It's not very good at all.
Looks a little too human in the eyes.
Well, that makes you wonder, because some people are even speculating that it might be a hybrid. Like, this is one thing I'm going to tell this new team, that because that's one thing we found out from our sources. There's a new team that's kind of overseeing Alien and Predator for like they got like a 10-year plan, and they're going to try and cross everything over.
Yep.
And basically we said, you got to sonic this motherfucker. If you can get the word to those people up at, in the upper echelon of the team, that's what they need to hear right now, because this is not good.
Is that CGI though, or is that practical?
I think it's a mix of both, possibly, which is going to be a problem. That is a good question, Scribe, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think this is going to be as simple. So I don't think that we could expect any kind of drastic change. But I think there's a few tweaks they could make that might help. First of all, get rid of the fucking haircut. I know they're trying to do like the Viking thing or whatever, but it looks more like a fucking Karen with her fucking side.
It's like Woman King. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like go one MX20, it sends in $20, sends a Mexican $20, says, why does the new Predator have Wojak face? Yeah. Yeah.
He's always had Butterface. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been ugly. One ugly motherfucker, I think, is an exact quote.
Yeah, right. I asked the other day on the Bleeding Fool social media, has Fox killed off all the female protagonists? Because, the Predator started out with so much promise, the Predator franchise did. And even Predator 3, I mean, it was an interesting premise, right?
You're talking about Predators, right? Mm-hmm. The one with Lawrence Fishburne and
Adrian Brody. Yeah.
Adrian Brody,
Topher.
Yeah, that's the last good one in my opinion, but I have not seen Prey.
I will say, I've seen part of Prey. I mean, it's fine, Predator, Alien versus Predator. I can watch the first one. I mean, it's like, I can also watch Saturday the 14th. It's
I have that same problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that was just because the comic book fans were after it. And you're right. I think that's exactly what they're doing, is they're crossing this over. They've got this Alien Earth television series. There's the what is it? The Weyland, what do you call it?
Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah. So I think they're connected somehow to this, which is okay. And all of it, honestly, I think all of it would be okay if the Predator looked better. That they would be they would gain at least half the ground they've lost back if this Predator looked better.
Now, I don't know certain aspects of this, but I can say this much, and this is something that didn't really make it into our video because we didn't really have a way of saying it. But as far as we know, this is connected more with like part 2.
Yeah.
Where that one left off. So that shows some promise, because it doesn't really matter. All the other Alien films are kind of.
So where's the Alien?
Predator movies are kind of like in this other. He hasn't caught one yet, I think, is the whole thing. But the thing that people are noticing is the skull in the dead center there. And I even asked about that, and he has no idea for sure.
Is that the Independence Day alien?
Yeah. That's what everybody thinks, and that would make some sense, especially since that's basically a dead franchise now. That's one way to possibly revive it, especially after the disaster that was the last one.
Yeah.
But no, and Andre even pointed out, this wouldn't even be the first time they changed the Predator look midway through.
Sure.
For those who don't know the original story, it's in the video we brought up last night, but yeah, they changed the look of the original Predator back in the day because it was supposed to look more like a
praying mantis,
like a bug creature thing. Yeah, and it was being played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
More like the Guyver or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to look like, and I think Stan might have actually designed this one too, Andre. But just to be clear,
well, at least his workshop did.
Yeah, I think so. But but they wanted to redesign big time. Yeah, but. But the thing
I will also say that the original Predator design, the one with Van Damme, that also looked like a Norwegian delicacy.
Yeah, just no doubt there. But yeah, so the Wutani thing is definitely in there. There's like the crashed ship or whatever that says it right there. There it is.
There is a little bit of, we were talking about this before the show, there's a little bit of precedent in having different variants of both the xenomorphs and the predators. The xenomorphs, you saw most of those in the toy line from Kenner, where the theory was, depending on what creature the alien gestated in, it would take on some of its genetic components.
Yes, and I wish they would actually do something more with that.
Well, yeah,
so keep trying to hybrid. This is what bothers me, is they're like, oh, we're going to do a human and alien hybrid. You already did. It's called a xenomorph.
Yeah, well, so you saw this more. You saw this in the toy line. You saw this in the Dark Horse. The Dark Horse comic line really lent into the lore of how the xenomorphs work more. And then in the Predator toy line, you did see these variant Predators who looked vastly different from one another, but they still retain that same core design from the first film. Yeah. So they had like an elder Predator who had like, white and gray dreadlocks, and he looked a bit more haggard and older and everything. But it was still, you could still tell it was a Predator. This new one, the head's a rectangle, and I just like, it doesn't look quite right.
Yeah. I thought
that's. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
Well, it was neat how in the first couple of Predator films, the main changes were just whatever the weapon of choice was, right?
Yeah. Sort of, and they did have different Predators in Predators.
Yep.
Which is basically what I think you were just referring to, Scribe. Mm-hmm. And then like even Predator 2, I think that's a little bit slightly different Predator than the first one.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's played by the same guy, but I think.
And of course, you saw them all gather up at the end of Predator 2 when they're in the ship, and you see all these different variant of armors and sizes and things. So yeah, we know there's variation to the Predators. I just don't know how. The one in Prey was just so far afield from anything previously established. I was like, is it because as I said before the show, I thought that was some kind of like rights issue where they had to like change enough of the design that it didn't. Curtail someone else's license or something.
No, they just wanted to do their own version. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. And I mean, I don't have here's my issue with this. Is like if this has constantly been a problem with the Predator franchise, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't watch Prey. I don't believe a Predator would go after such a primitive group of humans. It's almost like shooting fish in a barrel, literally. Right? Like it's too easy of a hunt for them. So to me, I didn't think they would even be interested in us until we became like, nuclear, basically.
Well, maybe they're cowardly predators.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That doesn't fit their MO, right? Like that doesn't really quite fit. And to me, so that's what Prey didn't really work with. And people are like, oh, well, he uses less, advanced weaponry. I'm like, yeah, but it still doesn't matter. This race is so advanced. They would have been this advanced for a while, right? Like they were just basically waiting for us to catch up was kind of what I was thinking this whole time. I mean, script. I don't know if I'm going the wrong direction from the writing standpoint, but at least that's what I gathered from the first two anyway. But that's why I hated the Alien versus Predator movies because they just didn't really quite jive.
Yeah,
but they're their own things, so it doesn't really matter. So,
well, I think it appears that this is one of the. He's going to another planet. I mean, we're not coming back to Earth for another hunt.
No, this is more along lines of Predators, it seems like,
right.
Or whatever.
And someone has even supposed that this is going to be a nice kind of coda or sequel, sort of sequel to Predators.
I prefer the Scooby-Doo version.
It could be, although my source kept bringing up Predator 2. So maybe there's a connection there. And I mean, specifically, we have that one shot that is obviously right out of Predator 2 where it shows all his trophies, but like,
Well, it looks like they're trying something different, which is usually commendable. But then again, it is Disney, and Disney can't seem to handle any of their franchises in a way that's...
Well, and that's something I kept asking about, and he kept being very adamant, my source was, that this team, and Fox specifically, aren't as tied in with Disney as we think, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, basically they're allowed to run relatively independently from what I understand. As long as the money keeps going in, as long as the numbers are good on Hulu, then it's all good. That's the impression that I got from that.
Okay.
Yeah, because despite what we thought about any of it, Prey got a lot of praise on Hulu from both critics and, for the most part, the audience. And the Alien film was successful financially. So
yeah, from what I understand, they were quite happy with how it performed on Hulu. Because remember, that movie, Alien Romulus, no matter what everyone thought about it, it was actually budgeted for a Hulu release. And I think it did its job on Hulu, and it did pretty okay in theaters. And that theatrical release was something of a bonus.
Yeah, it actually, I think, made its money back in theaters for the most part. So
yeah.
Which proves that there is definitely some juice left in the Alien franchise after Tony Scott has destroyed it. Or I mean, Ridley Scott has destroyed it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Predator franchise and I understand why they would have went straight to streaming with Prey at this point, because the last 2 or 3 movies just haven't quite done very well. I'm in agreement with you guys. Like, for the most part, you got 3 good Predator movies and the rest suck, and even Predators is pushing it.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's really just basically a remake of the first movie set on another planet. Let's be real.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. You sent me this here, Chris. Is there anything you wanted to highlight for
Well, Victor is a big fan of the franchise, and he calls it trailer trash. He thought the trailer looked terrible. He was highlighting some of the comments that had come in, and just kind of thinks that Predator's sort of a dead franchise. He thinks everything after, he's like a lot of purists, that everything after Predator 2 is really good. But he also, like myself, I've only watched part of Prey. He hasn't watched it at all, but he thought The Predator, Shane Black's movie.
That was bad.
New Shane Black movies that just absolutely blows.
I've always thought the only place it could go, because you can only do the Predator stalks different people in a different territory thing. You saw that in the first one. You change it to the concrete jungle in the second one.
Yep.
The only way you could go is to, and maybe this is where this is going, I don't know, but to then explore the actual Predator culture itself and make a story out of that and turn it into some kind of like honor-bound Klingon kind of thing.
It's funny that you say that, because my impression is that both projects are going to do what you just said. The one is going to be from the more perspective of the Predator. We might get a little bit more of an idea of how they work and their whole deal. And then the Killers of Killers is going to be about different predators in different eras.
Yeah,
so that's
Predator in the snowy tundra during a snowstorm, where the camouflage wouldn't allow him to hide because the snow would just cling on and disperse around him all.
I want the Wild West.
See, you're too smart for this show. That's the problem, Script. You actually think about shit like that. They probably won't. So
Script is also not restricted by budgets.
Well,
you're never restricted by budgets. It comes afterwards. That's when they're like, "How do we afford this?"
Yeah, right.
One of the Predator anthology things does take place with Vikings, so you might see some snow somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be fun if they could experiment with, on this show or some sort of anthology type thing. I think that could be fun if they had the budget for it and good writing. And
that's what it sounds like Killers is kind of setting up, is this idea that we can go anywhere with the Predator anytime. You even have the dinosaur skull in the trailer from Badlands, implying that they came here before we were even here.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it's saying. Yeah.
And that would be cool too. And AVP could have dove in, I guess, a little bit to the warrior culture. But, at the end of the day, really, these movies, especially science fiction and horror, which I think both of these embody, you don't want to know everything. I mean, you think you do, but not really. You still want to be surprised and scared and tickled and, get your adrenaline pumping. I don't necessarily need some sort of history lesson and backstory. It's neat to have that, I guess, for the production Bible and as you're writing, but I don't necessarily want it all explained to me.
The Predators are fun to have a little bit of history with, but the Alien, leave it alone, right? Yeah. Ridley has
Ridley Scott's
ruined that to the point where, and I think Scribe and I are in the same place of, and I think Andre is too, quit trying to do these hybrid human alien bullshit fucking stories. We've seen enough of them now. We already have one. It's called the Xenomorph. That's what it is. Okay, because like Scribe pointed out, what happens is they gestate with whatever living creature is on that planet, and it creates a whole new one, right? But that's what the creature does. Run with that. Quit trying to make a human. Like that is the dumbest shit ever.
Well, and
I'm so sick of seeing that.
None of them look good. The big white giants, the aliens, Sigourney Weaver hybrid Ripley child thing.
My child. Yeah. Oh God.
Please.
No, I want a bull alien. I want a rhinoceros alien. I want a fucking dinosaur
what
alien.
I would say though is that I just hope that since they have decided not to completely scrap everything that was with Prometheus, at least get it done. Let's see what the fuck happened with David and just conclude that storyline one way or the other so we can move on from it. Because you know what I did? I've said this before. In the aftermath of seeing Romulus, I went back and I rewatched Covenant and Prometheus, the extended cuts of both. And it was a far better experience. And then I even watched the shorts that takes place before Covenant and the follow-up that takes place in the aftermath. And I'm like, okay, fine. You obviously invested in this. Just fucking conclude the storyline. Just let us know what David did afterwards. Be done with it. Then we can move on in whatever new direction you want. So I hope that they will do that at least. Just don't leave the David storyline hanging, because that would suck.
If they would just, otherwise, I'd be happy if they just ignored that from going forward. Like, just,
no, it's too late for that.
I know, unfortunately,
they need to they need some throwaway reference, something, even if it's just like a short trek or whatever. You just need to address that. Fine, this is what happened there, and now we can move on.
Yeah, well, and just kind of get where I'm coming from with the whole like human versus predator thing. Like, as War Monkey brings up my point exactly. Like, to me, like AVP works because like having the aliens is like, you know, basically like when they go hunt them in the AVP movies, it's like, you know, a rich dude going on a lion hunt, right? That's kind of what it feels like. That makes sense. But to hunt humans, like, it doesn't make sense to hunt humans until they become worthy prey, right? And that's what makes sense to me. And I don't know, you can have a lot of fun with this. There's a lot of places you can go. Less with the alien history, though. I'm fine with predator history, but that's just my opinion. What do you guys think out there? Let us know in the comments, or send us in a super chat and let us know what you think. We got a couple of them here. Speaking of, Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle says, a Predator Karen. Love it. Somebody needs to do an AI trailer like for the Karen movie you guys showed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She wants to speak to your manager for sure. Jeremiah Hembry says, Script Doctor, did you hear what happened to Paramount and had to quit? And is it your opinion the rest of Hollywood isn't woke but just Disney?
Well, who's the and had to quit? Are you talking about like George Cheeks?
No, I think he's talking about the whole DEI thing.
Oh, from the lawsuit from that writer that it was able to confirm that he was being discriminated against. Yeah, well, that program came about as because of George Cheeks. So he was the one doing it. Rest of Paramount, some knew, many didn't. Yeah, I think that's a good legal case there because I mean, if the person's qualifications and commitment to their role should afford them promotion, and they're rejected that based on immutable differences, immutable elements, then yeah, that's a perfectly legal claim. So I'm all for that. And if George Cheeks, who it is alleged he was one of the instigators of that, he's going to have to pay for that.
Well, they've already settled, unfortunately, so it's not going to go any further.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that followed up. I only knew that the lawsuit was launched. So
they settled. A couple days ago it came out they settled, and I brought up George Cheeks' own quotes on how 40% of the writers' room needs to be BIPOC and all this other stuff from previous years. So they had a good case, but there are a lot of risk with those things, and I guess lawyers on either side decided that it wasn't worth pursuing any further.
Yeah, and also my speculation would be that the lawyer would have told him that this is going all the way to the Supreme Court, because if you win there's too many interests that have too much to lose from a precedent being set here.
Yeah.
So they're going to hold this thing up for years.
Yep.
So for the good of the rest of the world, you probably should bear this out, but for your individual interest, take the money and run. I think that's probably what it came down to, would be my speculation.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the case was more specifically to Cheeks in his office as opposed to Paramount on the whole, which is probably why they were able to do a settlement. Because if it was to Paramount itself, they would have dragged that out and bled the defendant dry.
Not necessarily, because Paramount is under scrutiny from the FCC for the whole Skydance merger. So the longer that it lasted, forever, just because Paramount's attached to it, would probably look bad with how the FCC is looking at them. So I think there might have been other forces on the Paramount side that might have pushed it.
I didn't take factor of that because there's the scrutiny over the other bid.
Yes. Yep.
as well. So yeah, I mean, because if they didn't have that, they would have dragged it out because they would do the exact same thing to that guy who sued them over the Star Trek Discovery stuff.
Mhm.
And because that.
Walter Mosley.
Well, no, not Walter Mosley. This is the tardigrade stuff from way back.
Right.
That person had terrible lawyers because they went after CBS and Paramount and Netflix. When you don't do that, you go after the guilty party and you pivot to try and get the studio to be on your side so that they expunge them out, because the studio will eventually just drag you out, bleed you dry, and the case will be dismissed or quashed or what have you. That's why it's always good to target. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but my experience on the entertainment side of things, if you think someone has stolen from you, sue the person that stole from you, not the studio that bought the stolen work, because the studio is going to defend the fact that, well, we didn't steal anything. We just bought this product that was sold to us. And they usually win those cases. But if you go after the individual that stole it, you have a better shot. And also that individual has a harder time of dragging out a case and bleeding you dry. And if you can provide enough evidence to convince the studio that they purchased stolen goods, they will get on your side because they don't want to have to deal with that headache. With regards to DEI stuff, Disney is the ground zero for it right now. Like, it's the only place in there. We've been hearing some funny stories on the screenwriting discords, and also in some of the meetings that I've been attending to, that yes, hiring at Warner Brothers and some other studios, they're hiring for replacement DEI people because the contracts have expired or are about to expire. And they said it's going to be an ongoing process trying to find the right person to fit this role. And it could be years and years and years before that happens. So that is their official stance that is going out to us, which is, I think, is kind of humorous. But at Disney, so long as Iger's there, they're going to keep doing what they do.
Part of the challenge with this woke stuff, as Script has mentioned in the past, is that you would literally just get a bunch of DEI hires, put them in a room and tell them to shut up.
Yeah. The other part too is that there's been a lot of reevaluation in the executive offices about what to do next, because the whole reason like woke exists within entertainment is because the institutions, the studios themselves, were not strong enough to resist it, or competent and financially secure enough to scrutinize it to see if it could actually be valuable or not. What we have here is like 2 generations of various people unqualified because they were business degrees that don't know how to make movies. And they took a look at something that was hot and trending and figured if we lean into that, that will make up for our declining sales. And that's how woke came into. So once you get woke out, you still have the issue of, well, will the executives find something new that will be like woke adjacent or a new thing? Or will they be able to find that balance between business-minded people and creative people to kind of rebuild the foundations of the studio system so that they can, sustain themselves? The way that the box office is playing out this year reminds me a lot of like the 2007, 8, 9 box office numbers. Like the frequency's there. Yeah, the budgets are a little bit too high, but the turnout is kind of on par. We shouldn't be guaranteeing or promising or hoping for every tentpole film to be $1 billion hit. We should get back to something more reasonable.
And they don't have a DVD to fall back on either. That's the problem.
That's a huge problem. Yeah. Like, how do they restore the physical media market?
The first thing,
because it's going to be a boutiques.
The first thing they need to do is restore TV, because get it out of reality shows. TV has always been the AAA team for movies, and they got rid of it. I mean, there's nobody doing any scripted content. They need to get back to that. I mean, and also in terms of giving people an opportunity of different backgrounds. I mean, Shonda Rhimes came from TV, right? I mean, TV, because of just the huge volume that it required at one point, is a natural place to give people opportunities. The streaming services don't know how to manage it properly. My contention is to, get the 20, 24 shows per year machine back up and running on the networks, do them, efficiently, cheaply if required. And then I think it will solve and fix everything else. I think it's the place to be. You need the farm team. They've lost the farm team. You can't run a professional baseball team without a good farm team. They've killed it.
No, streaming is the problem. I mean, at the end of the day, that's why the movie industry is doing as poorly as it is. That's why there is no physical media anymore.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they took streaming and they looked at it as a format as opposed to a delivery system.
Yeah.
Because, like, listen, if you got network
What do you mean by
television,
that? Explain yourself.
sure, internet as replaces cable and over the broadcast, but it's still the same exact format. There's commercials, there's scheduling, there's the added option that you can go back and rewind, like so it's like TiVo for your smart.
Yeah, this is what I
TV.
always say: is it should have been the replacement or the co-pilot for the networks, and not a fucking replacement for their studio.
Yeah,
system.
it would be like over the air, cable, satellite, streaming. All three different methods of being able to get content, but they all function almost identical in the way and delivery system with their formats and commercials and everything of that nature to keep money flowing. It just basically means, oh, I could watch NBC on my phone when I'm commuting, and it's just like watching it on television with it. And also the other part too, which would be better, but streaming hasn't figured this out, is the channel surfing, being able to flip between stuff a lot easier without having to do logins and out.
Yeah, absolutely, especially sports.
Yeah.
Especially sports. Okay, I think I'm going to log out of NBC.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to log into ESPN.
Yep.
Okay, now I'm going to log out of ESPN. I'm going to log into CBS.
Can you imagine if they came out with an analog channel dial on your TV?
Oh shit! They do that for a novelty, and it would probably work too.
I would love it.
Script's 100% right. If whichever streamer, I mean, they already have on the certain ones, but like seriously figures out, like if like YouTube figures out, okay, if we take all the live streams that are happening right now live,
yeah,
and you just put it to where, like he just said, you can just start flipping through them like a TV. People would fall in love with that, because what are people doing now? They're jumping back into like Tubi and all those. They have the channels on quotations, where all it is, they just sit there and play a show constantly with commercials in between.
Yeah,
and people are jumping to that because they want that old functionality. Or like me, once in a while, like I'll watch my cable or TV channels through the streaming. I'm like, why isn't all of them like this? That's what made me start thinking that. And Script and I have talked about it before too, where it's like, it makes absolutely no sense how they did this. Whoever convinced them to do it this way is like the monorail salesman in The Simpsons.
Never saw
I hope he had a musical number.
No, and he didn't even bring a lousy musical number with him.
Well, they're so caught up in competing with each other and trying to get first mover status, or in the case of streaming, fourth, fifth, and sixth mover status.
Yeah.
To no avail, but they're sticking with it. And the networks, ABC, the over-the-air networks, should just cancel their cable connections and put it all on YouTube.
Some of them do that. Like I've seen a couple of the studio YouTube channels start streaming live some of their classic shows here and there.
Yeah, the older shows. I've started to see that too. Now in Canada, we don't get the YouTube network. We don't get the YouTube channel that you have in the United States. That kind of that live broadcast interface. We don't get that here.
Yeah, none of the service providers do that. Bell might next year though, because
that would be good.
And with AT&T, and AT&T does it. So
Hollywood has got to figure out a way to get some kind of non-competitive meeting together, and just figure out what it is that they need to do to save the industry in Hollywood. And I'm all for making sure Hollywood survives this. I think there is some value in Hollywood still being the nexus.
I just want to see a change of hands, that the people who destroyed it the last time should make way for a new generation of people who understand the industry a little bit better than the people who run it into the ground. Because let's be honest here, Hollywood has run itself into the ground because it's been managed by third generation people in entertainment, like their great grandparents or something built and their parents maintained, and then they came and they fucked it all up.
I think that will happen after both the Palestinians and the Israelis change their leadership.
Yeah.
You may not be wrong, which is sad. But no,
Whoa.
You're 100% Andre. They're still right. They're in the same place they were in the 1950s, at the end of the 50s, going into the 60s. This is the worst they've ever been since then. I would say, like, since the 70s, right? Like, that was the era where for almost a decade, it looked like Hollywood was going to fold. and that's almost where we're at now, if not worse.
Yeah.
Because then there was at least, yeah, because even then at least, like, and a great example of this is watch the movie or watch this TV show, The Offer, and you get a really good idea because that show takes place right in that specific time period where all these studios were on the cusp of folding, and all they were needing was like 1 or 2 hits to get them out of this rut. They're way past that now. There's no way 1 or 2 hits is going to get them out of this rut. What they have going for them is they have a lot better credit system than they used to have back then. And they've got they're a lot more spread out financially, right? Like they have more than just
their
a
fingers
studio.
their fingers.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean,
thank you.
like right now, the last 2 years, and maybe even this year too, Warner Brothers has had the most hits critically and financially successful based on their budget to return ratio. But even then, it's not as simple as how it was for Paramount back in the 70s, where they got 1-2 movies back to back, and boom, they were saved.
And that was every studio, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Paramount. That was like Fox and everybody else, and they all got lucky. Like Warner Brothers got lucky with Exorcist and a couple other ones like that, and so on and so forth. Like that's just
did really well, and
Fox had French Connection and a few other ones. So like, yeah, it just happened that they managed to pull out a few good movies out of their ass to save their ass for a few years. But that's not going to save them now, right? Like
No,
Thunderbolts is not going to save Disney.
No. The thing is that the studios they're a mix between putting out so much over the next X amount of years versus how much they put out in the current years. So there's like there's a reduction in production, but an expansion over the years, which is really kind of mind-boggling to kind of sort your way out. And of course, there's also a big pushback because you've got the multiple generation executives across all studios that want those billion-dollar hits, and then you've got second generation, first generation producers that are desperate for just low budget. Please, all I want is $5 million, and I now I can make this movie profitable and make this and get good theatrical run. And yeah, it's a tug of war between those two sides. I mean, it's been like that for a long time. Even at the peak of Disney and Marvel Studios, executives are saying we cannot keep sustaining these large budget tentpole films. We got to go back to your $20 million mid-budget.
Imagine
film.
that.
And even James Gunn, like the only interview he ever did in the last 2 years prior to this press junket, he talked about the reason why he was so tempted to go to Marvel when they asked is that nobody was financing low to mid-budget films anymore. So we had to.
Yeah. And I just want to address this because a lot of people consider Sound of Music where the change began. I would actually say Sound of Music was basically the end game of musicals. If you think about it, it came out right at the end of that period, and it was the last one that really did anything for a long time. Yeah, it helped keep Fox alive for a bit, but that was like the end of an era. Does that make sense? Like this was the end game of musicals. Like it was the last big one they had before.
What was the one the musical with all the people who went to music school and were dancing around in cars on New York?
Fame.
That was a huge
yeah, but that's
musical.
the 80s. That's a totally different era. That's what I'm talking about. Like,
okay,
this was the transition between the studios being owned by, like the moguls being bought out by beverage companies and other people that had nothing to do with movies prior to that.
Right.
And that's where I love The Offer because it does a very good job of showing the dynamic between Hollywood versus the money people that was happening at that time period, as opposed to where Hollywood prior to that was basically run like a big television studio. You had contracts with all your directors, your writers, your actors, you loaned them out, you did this, you did that, that was kind of the way it all worked before. The studio system was like kind of like they would just churn it all out like every day, the same thing. He was like, oh, today I'm going to work on a Western. Okay. Like you didn't get a choice unless you were a big star, but then the system changed and that's kind of the point where it started changing. But that's
The Offer, just it needs to be said, is probably one of the best 10 original streaming shows of all time, I've got to say.
And it just does a great job of capturing that era, in my opinion, of what I imagine it probably was like dealing with all that shit and how it was going at that point. Because that's probably the closest we are right now to how bad things were, because the Western had died out, the musical had died out, all their big tentpole type movies had died out. Even Disney was struggling, because you got to remember, this is also when Disney died. And people were just
they
struggling.
shifted over to amusement parks to save themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, they had the live action films for a little bit there in the 70s to carry them, like the Apple Dumpling Gangs and the stuff like that. But they didn't have a good. They went almost 20 some years without an animated hit at Disney. Like from Robin Hood to Roger Rabbit, basically was like a dead zone. Like, sure, they had a few that did okay, like Fox and the Hound, but that was about it.
Well,
right?
they didn't have a lot of public domain stories left to steal, and
exactly that too. Well, then they lost Walt, who was kind of the one who knew. For some reason, they forgot that's all Walt was doing. Right?
I have to disagree, though. I mean, there's a whole world of folk tales which are public domain that they could have mined forever with great, tremendous success.
But you're asking Disney to try and find those in a day prior to the internet, and they were not good at that.
And they were also trying to do what a lot of these people are doing now with Disney and trying to modernize the storytelling, where Andre's right. Like, they acted like, oh, we lost the boss, we lost the king, now we've got to start all over again. We don't know how to do this. It's like, no, it's pretty simple. There's a ton, like Andre just said, a ton of fairy tales. That's all Walt was doing, was taking these fairy tales and kind of just
Disneyfying them. Yeah.
Disneyfying them. Exactly. Adding his mark to them. Right. And anytime he ever tried deviating from that, that's when shit went to disaster for him. And you should just take notes from that, because every one of his projects that wasn't one of those things never got off the ground, or it just ended up morphing into one of those projects, like Robin Hood. Right. Like, that's a long sordid story of how Robin Hood came to be. It was a totally different project to begin with, and then it eventually morphed into Robin Hood, basically, which at the end is more or less just another fairy tale-esque type story being retold and Disneyfied. But that's
with animals, yeah,
with animals. That's the version most people know now. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know if you guys saw this. Speaking of streaming, Hollywood Burns asked, that K-Trek trailer was insane and desperate and sad. Did you guys see this? Thing for Paramount Plus that I shared yesterday,
the SpongeBob
thing. Yeah,
I saw it. Yeah.
Okay. Jeremiah Hembry also says, Script Doctor, did you hear what happened to Paramount? We got this one already. So okay, I'm going to show this quick. But Andre, if you have to cut this out, I apologize. But I died from cringe watching this. It's just a trailer.
These are the voyages of the Patrick Starship Enterprise.
Dang, look at that.
What's your status, Commander Cheeks?
Everything's peachy.
Commence nautical nonsense. Its mission, unclear.
Krabby Patty, engage.
Hit it, Krabs.
Aye, Captain.
You gave her a hair?
Jumping jellyfish.
Its crew, unfazed.
Slither a pearl. Fire on the poop deck.
Sound the foghorns.
Where's Officer SquarePants?
Boldly going.
Captain, it's him.
Where no one has gone before.
I'm ready.
Greetings, Sponge Robert.
Weird dream.
Perhaps it was your imagination.
Whether you like SpongeBob, Star Trek, or both, find your mountain of entertainment on Paramount Plus.
They just missed the South Park thing there, but before we talk about how cringe it is, is it not noteworthy that they decided to use Star Trek for this, to combine Star Trek with SpongeBob? Does that not show some level of confidence in the Star Trek brand?
No, the opposite.
No.
Yeah, it's saying SpongeBob is so popular, we want that audience to come see Star Trek.
Okay, yeah.
No, it says we care about Star Trek so little.
Yeah.
That we're combining it with SpongeBob. That's immediately what this tells me. You guys are now slumming. We just need the captain to go back to his condo room and barbecue food for the rest of the staff again.
Now, I don't know. I enjoyed the Star Wars Donnie and Marie special. I mean, come on.
Yeah, obviously it's not meant for real. It's like a joke just to sell Paramount Plus, but
they should have combined SpongeBob with Yellowstone. Obviously,
is that their only two properties too? I mean, I think it would have made more sense or been more fun if they had had a few others sprinkled in there.
They have the Taylor Sheridan shows you could have played with. Yeah. You got Beavis and Butthead. You got South Park. Well, of course, South Park would probably get them in trouble, but
that was really well done. I mean, I thought actually this was a what do you call it? Just a joke reel by someone.
It is.
It is a joke. You could tell that the entire cast had a blast performing that, because they're inside the joke, but it also conveys the fact that, again, CBS and Paramount have been trying to get younger people to watch Star Trek.
Yep.
And sadly, the people that grew up with SpongeBob, who are now in their early 20s, they still watch SpongeBob, only now they have a lot more weed and other pharmaceuticals with them to enjoy it.
I'll be honest
they
with
want
you,
that
yeah.
audience for Star Trek. And
most of the people I know that watched SpongeBob growing up were a bunch of stoners. He's right.
I think this diminishes Star Trek.
It does.
It does. It totally does. In fact, it would have been just as bad as if you just had like a scene from Star Trek Strange New Worlds playing, and all of a sudden it shuts off the TV and goes, this sucks.
Yeah.
That actually would have been more fun.
Thank God that they're not going to descend to having a Klingon musical. That would be
No.
the last one.
Oh, yeah.
They would never do that.
It never happen, eh, Chris?
No.
I wonder if Klingons can rap.
Yes. Give the species with dark skin the rapping.
That's a little racist, butthead. Shut up.
Penis.
That's not how we do things. We have never once said penis. Yeah, you just said penis.
You did not.
Anyway, Soul Nightmare says Badlands made me want to throw up. It looks like cheap Zack Snyder edgy action figure play session. Put the franchise out of its misery already. I disagree with putting the franchise out of its misery. I think it still has some gas left in the tank if you get the right people behind it. Maybe this crew is genuinely trying to do something good. But again, at this point, I feel like people may have reacted differently had the Predator not looked as weird. I think that was it. It's this constant idea that they need to reinvent the wheel. It's kind of like the thing I bring up with Universal, right? It's like, why do you keep going away from what makes Universal Monsters Universal Monsters? Lean into that. Like, have some fun with him. I want to go to the theater and see that uber cool looking version of the Universal Frankenstein and Universal Dracula and all that kind of stuff. Why do they look like shit? Like the werewolf movie, the Wolfman one recently is a great example of that.
Yeah, which was a movie about the Wendigo, not Wolfman.
Yeah, Wendigo.
They did Universal did a lot of comedies with them too. Abbott and Costello, Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah, but you don't need to continue their bad ideas.
Yeah.
Well, even in those movies, though, Andre, the monsters are treated seriously. It's Abbott and Costello who do the comedy, right? It's their reactions.
They got Boris Karloff to do this stuff. I mean,
It's one of the only other times I think Bela Lugosi played Dracula proper as well.
That's correct. Well, Dracula.
I am come to Dracula. You do a very good Bela Lugosi. Let's shoot this fucker. That's always my favorite. You ever seen Ed Wood?
Yeah.
Yep, Martin Landau did a great job.
Yeah, let's shoot this fucker. Anyway,
his last movie.
Yeah.
I like that action figure play session. It feels like so much of what Disney's doing.
You're not wrong on that part, though. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And all these CGI characters, I think they use ILM anymore since they're in-house, but they all look like rubbery monsters, like, and not like a good rubber way. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right.
No, I know, but like they don't even look like good rubber monsters. They look like crappy ones.
Yeah.
Mr. Tickle Trunk says, wait, is this following the Predator as a protagonist? Yes. That was an original script for Alien versus Predator. No, 3 Predators right of adulthood. Kind of. And my understanding is this is going to lead into some of the Alien versus Predator stuff. Now, we couldn't get it confirmed whether or not they're going to use the direct inspiration from the Dark Horse stuff or not, but I would imagine they possibly are. At least going to try and lean into that. But one thing we do know is we were told it wasn't going to be woke. So take that for what
that's
it is.
sort of the marketing department wants to get that out there quick and
actually no, that come directly from my source. That's
yeah, but I would not be surprised if they do not mind that getting out there. Let's say yeah. That's probably like feel free to share this.
In that case, the first mistake was putting Elle Fanning in it, even though she's an android, like Andre pointed out in the video last night. Yeah, the Alien franchise and some other sci-fi horror franchises are well known for a female lead, but the most popular Predator films always have a male lead. Schwarzenegger, Danny Glover, etc. So, like, to me, I feel like you almost kind of need that as a set precedent in a way. I'm sure have your female android in there, and that's fine for her to have that. That way she can, fight like a man and people aren't going to question it. But, like, yeah, like, at this point, people have seen enough of the girl boss, and I would think that they would have gotten the message that that's basically box office poison. Because even with Alien Romulus, which I didn't see, even when I saw the trailer, I kept getting vibes that they're just trying to make me feel like this chick is another Ripley, right? Like, they even dressed her like her in the other films and stuff, and it's just like,
I'm kind of curious if the Predator is the main character. Elle Fanning's got to be there to introduce somebody speaking English throughout the entire thing. Otherwise,
most likely, and I bet she can
pantomime and
understand
subtitles.
him.
Yeah,
and I say, watch, she can understand him too. Sorry.
No.
So they can actually have conversations back and forth. I think you're right.
So they're going to Chewie the Predator.
Possibly.
There you go. Yeah.
We got a couple more super chats here about Predator, but we also have a Yellow Flash joining us. How you doing, Yellow Flash?
Hello.
And we're going to get into some talk about Nintendo. Or Nintendo. We got Nightwish fan here who's... Oh, wait. I missed this one. I didn't read it. Ryan West says, with $5, was Romulus part of the 10-year plan? I think so. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny, but I think so. Because it's part of the same crew and team are working on all these movies and shows.
Yeah,
and stuff.
and Romulus tried to bring together all the loose threads of all the other movies, so I think that was part of the,
I can't speak to it. I haven't seen it. Andre has. He did not like it. That tells me enough to know that I probably won't like it.
I liked it more when I got used to it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah. Nightwish fan says, you mentioned Predator having its own team. What's the status on Alien? Same team, basically, is my understanding. Need to get Ridley Scott away from that franchise. I know he didn't direct Romulus, but his fingerprints are all over that movie. Yeah, he's still a producer no matter what, I think. He's kind of like just hooked into that franchise now. But as far as like what he has as far as say over, his name never came up once in my conversations with my source, if that helps. And from what we've been hearing, he's kind of phoning it in everywhere now. So... Like, because wasn't that the one thing, like his assistant from the Gladiator 2 things, like, yeah, motherfucker barely showed up. He was just there. Like, just shit happened. And they spent a bunch of money. Like, he doesn't seem to care anymore. Jesus Davila says, kind of wish we would get a new Alien movie. And I don't mean franchise, but a new creature. Yeah, like, that's one thing that the Jurassic series has up on them that I think is crazy, because I'm like, the Jurassic series, I'm like, you got tons of dinosaurs we haven't seen yet, right? Tons of them. But yet you keep bringing us these new hybrid dinosaurs. Quit bringing me hybrid dinosaurs. Give me dinosaurs I haven't seen yet. On the Alien side, I've been screaming for hybrids ever since, like Scribe brought up earlier, we had those figures for the cartoon that never actually materialized, even though there is a teaser out there, I think, for it, for one of the things they were putting together. But yeah.
I want a Slee Stack movie. A real one. Scary.
A what?
Slee Stack.
Slee Stack from the Land of the Lost.
Oh, okay.
My concern or my unhappiness is that they've never used nematodes to the best of their ability.
Maybe Sigmund and the Sea Monsters.
Oh, there you go. Oh my God.
Right. I mean, didn't the Ninja Turtles, weren't they turtles thrown down the toilet?
No, well,
they lived in the sewer.
No,
never
fell into the toilet. Or, sorry,
they fell into the sewer.
Never.
But I thought it was
kid
like
was carrying
Daredevil
them.
Origin story.
It is okay. It is connected with the Daredevil origin story. So what happens is on the other side of things happening for Daredevil, as Matt's getting blinded, there's a kid carrying turtles that he just bought at the pet shop, and he nearly gets hit by the same vehicle, and he gets knocked over or falls over, and the turtles. Glass tank breaks and they fall into the sewer along with the mutagen that hit
Matt Murdock.
Also got in Matt Murdock's eyes. So those are things that depending on which version you go to, it's Shredder that made that shit in the first place. So you could say that the Shredder made Daredevil as well.
That's right. That is TMNT is the key that picks the lock to
it's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I'm telling you.
Pace Player 2011 Iffy says Alien Resurrection is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's one of those so bad it's good movies. You know what? Compared to some of the newer Alien films, I'll take it any day of the week over some of them.
First 2 acts.
And Brad Dourif's good in it. I don't care. He's good in everything, though.
He's actually in my favorite scenes from that movie.
Right?
Yeah. I love
Well, that's kind of the stuff I was like, yeah, then this is what they would be doing, is experimenting on them, trying to figure out their weaknesses, their strengths. They wouldn't be making a weaker hybrid human alien. They'd be trying to beef it up by mixing it with more savage animals. Haven't you watched a Jurassic Park film? Like, be like, we're going to mix it with a lion and a tiger and a leopard. Why? Because they're the deadliest creatures on Earth. Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Like a Day of the Dead, where they're trying to weaponize them, you know.
One of the best plots from the Dark Horse series was a series called Alien Rogue, and what happened is they experimented because they thought, well, there's alien queens. Let's see if we can make an alien king, and that became the big deal. That was awesome.
That'd be a cool idea.
Awesome.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's a way
great.
to get out of this girl boss shit right now, too. Actually,
it was wonderful.
That's if you guys are listening out there. Listen, there's a way to get out of this. There you go. Because I don't think bringing the aliens to Earth was a good idea. That Hulu show, I'm dead set against it. I hate this idea of aliens being brought to Earth before Ripley and the crew actually discover them. Because in my head canon, it's always gone is they didn't quite know what was there when they went to send them there. They just something there they knew they wanted, or somebody else was trying to get before, or whatever. And the whole idea that fucking Ridley Scott added to them sending the eggs to Earth and shit, that pissed me off too. Because I'm like, why would they care? Like, this is some advanced race, and the aliens themselves are obviously some biological weapon that got the better of them, right? They're an allegory for nuclear warfare and biological warfare.
I think he should have combined it with Gladiator.
That would have been a better idea. I would have rather seen Russell Crowe fight an alien.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Somebody just replaced the lion and Gladiator with alien. There you go. There's your movie. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle says, I won't say AVP 1 was a good movie, but it was fun. Yeah, it's not the worst of them. Also, the beginning of that movie and Prometheus seem very similar to me. Yeah. Bucky Cat's been a member for 25 months. Thank you for that. Go 1 for 1 sends in 50 Mexican pesos. Sorry. Says, Tom, if you want proper alien experience, play Aliens Dark's Descent. It's scary, intense. Also, the history can be a movie that doesn't suck. I don't know if that's one of the ones I got or not. I got one of them. Was it Isolation that came out for one of the newer ones? No, I'm serious. That's the name of it.
No, I'm reading the next super chat.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't laughing at you, sorry.
No, that's fine. Nightwish Fan 1991 says, but hey, give Kurtzman 20 more series and he'll get a hit eventually. Well, yeah. Even a broken clock's right certain times of the day.
Yep.
Pilgrim Media says, when you have Klingons, wipe better. Oh, yes, indeed. I was trying to get to my button there. Mark Daly says Klingon rap would be legendary. The diss tracks and the blood feuds would be epic. It makes our gangster stuff look like nursery rhymes. You got a point there. Then we got Mark Daly again, who says Predator versus Wookiees box office gold. Bass Player 2011 Iffy says, I just can't be bothered to get into Star Trek. What it's something like 500 episodes and 20 movies? No thanks. I'll stick with the SNL canceled sketch. Well, the original show is easy to get into. It's less than 100 episodes, and it's a good watch. And TNG's got some good episodes too. And I don't know.
The trick is you don't have to watch everything.
Yeah. No. Find your favorite and stick with that. STR Red Wolf says, Paul, they probably used to use that new shampoo for roundworms. Head, shoulders, nematodes.
That's right.
Glade Ribbon says Jurassic.
You can get rid of pests in your grass by harnessing nematodes.
And Paul has never had crabs because of it. Glade Ribbon is dangerously sober. Sends in $2. Says Jurassic Park times aliens, xenomorph dinosaurs. Well, isn't that what we're getting in the new one? It looks like. Actually, I don't know if you guys have seen that yet, but
yeah.
We're caught up on super chats, which is awesome because we got Yellow Flash who just popped in here, and there's some news going on in the video game world, isn't there?
Yeah, Nintendo Switch pre-orders.
Yeah, they sold out pretty quick, didn't they?
I mean, who didn't think that was going to happen? I don't know why people thought it was going to falter.
That could hardly sure it's going to sell $90 games.
People are still going to buy it. I mean, I see a lot of people complaining, but the sales seem just fine.
Wow.
So I don't know what people want to do about that.
I remember my
happy.
parents. I was gonna say, I remember my parents saying they weren't going to buy $60 games back when I was a kid for Nintendo. So $90 isn't really that.
No. How much is the console?
That's like
$450 for the base, and then $500 if you want Mario Kart with it.
Wow.
So almost as much as a PS5.
I wonder how long the battery life is on that thing.
Probably 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
It'd be nice.
Depending on the game. So if it's like, if you're playing, so I know Cyberpunk is on it. If you're playing that, probably 2 to 3 hours. But if you're playing like, I don't know, like saying, what's a simple game on that? Like that Sonic game that's on it, that's probably get you like 6 hours.
So does it have where you could plug in a battery pack, power pack, or USB sort of thing?
Probably.
Okay. Kids today. I remember
So,
playing
yeah.
Madden football when I was on the trip, you know.
But
So
there's
even
people
though-
that
costs
want
the same.
There's people that want the latest and greatest thing that's never going to go away. I mean, I'm in that crowd. I wanted it I got it day one because I'm a Nintendo tard. So I mean, and there's a lot of people like that. However, you know, the real question is, what does it look like 2 weeks after its launch? It's going to sell out for the first probably 2 to 3 weeks, and then after that, you know, we'll see if it's sitting on shelves or not, and if that demand can be sustained. That's the real question that I have, because it is pricey for regular people.
Yeah, how much is it?
Like $450 to $500.
Yikes!
This is not going to be like a PlayStation 5 situation where it's just going to be nonstop scalpers, because when PlayStation 5 launched, you have to remember it wasn't selling in stores. You could only buy it online because of COVID. Like, it's not the case this time. So when it comes out, you're going to be able to go into stores and probably find it pretty regularly.
How soon do you think before there'll be a significant price drop, if at all?
Probably not for a long time.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
You're not going to see one this year.
Now, the one thing I'm concerned about is that Nintendo has always had a TikTok issue, in that whatever hit console they've had, the next one sucked.
This is true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's been its history.
The only exception being Nintendo to Super Nintendo, I would say.
Yeah.
But that was early on.
Right. But yeah, no, honestly, I think they've been kind of hitting stalemate since PS3, basically. I mean, yeah, they've gotten a little advanced since then, but I mean, here we are.
I don't know about that. The Wii was the biggest thing there was.
Oh,
the Wii, yeah, but I'm saying, like, even the Wii itself was like set up in a way that, like, they could have made the Wii 10 years before that. Probably.
Oh yeah, because the Wii was basically as
That's what I'm saying.
powerful as a GameCube.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, it's not like they're building power like machines here. They're just
you can't play the sequel to Zelda on the Switch version 1 Switch. It's really quite unplayable.
Oh, Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I have the LED one, so I don't know what that experience is like. Or not, yeah, the OLED one, sorry. I have the OLED one.
But anyways, so yeah, well, more power to them. I mean, I know people who complain about capitalist endeavors, and my solution for them is don't buy it. Quit complaining. And if it's a huge success, then they guessed right. Don't complain about why things have gotten more expensive. If people are buying it, then they made the right bet. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, there's not really anything you can do. I mean, the one thing you could do is not buy it, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want it to be a thing in the industry, don't get it.
People seem to be. I think people have been extending themselves more financially these days. I remember there was a survey. I can't remember how long ago it was, that the disposable income of individuals for a game system was max $400 for the year, which was the sweet spot. None of the console makers. I think it came out when Xbox had that bundle with that not the wand, but that device that allowed you to control it by waving your arms around.
Oh, the Kinect.
Motion control.
The Kinect.
Yeah, and
Kinect.
that put the device into a price bracket more expensive than Sony's.
Well, and you also had the issue of it was quickly becoming, especially with the PlayStation era, less about a kid's thing and more aimed towards adults.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah.
No, I'm told that's where they changed, because like that was the thing. Because growing up it was like, yeah, some adults played video games. Don't get me wrong, but it was still seen as mostly a kid's toy, and the Nintendo was at least affordable. The Super Nintendo, not so much, but still at least affordable. Genesis, very affordable. That's why it did so well in the U.S. Right? For kids, that's the thing. A parent is not going to want to spend a buttload of money on a system and then buttloads of money on games.
Well, yeah, but you know what the change was? The change was that when you got the PlayStation 3 to play
they put the
DVD.
Blu-ray in it.
But yeah, that's a big part of it. But
PlayStation 2 had DVD, and then
PlayStation 2 had.
But that's
DVD.
my point, though, is like what generation then would have had that console? My generation, the generation that grew up with these. So for us, that was a console made for us. Like Andre will tell you, like we lived off of our PS3 for years. Like, not just did we play video games, we watched everything on there. It was our Blu-ray player.
Yeah, I've never had a standalone Blu-ray, DVD, or 4K player. I've always had consoles.
The consoles are just so noisy is the problem.
But then again, the games also
speakers.
Then the systems also eventually the games and all the things kind of geared more towards adults. The only one that kind of stuck with the kids was Nintendo.
Well, they moved the console from being a niche kids toy to a family appliance was the thing.
That too,
like, yeah. So it's more versatile for the whole family and not just the kids in the house.
And the Wii was the first console that kind of did that for the whole family. Like, yeah, everybody could enjoy Nintendo, but I remember the Wii was a big deal because that was one of the few times my dad got involved with a few things. Like he was just dead set on getting one, and when we finally did, I could understand why. Like you guys said, like power wise, it's not like anything near like the PS3 or anything like that was at that time. But what it did was its interactivity and the way it worked and its simplicity and the Nintendo brand name all worked together. But like, yeah, with the Switch, I like Flash was generous enough to send me an older Switch, and I still haven't even messed with it yet. Right? Like Nintendo is so far in my past. Like if I want to play Nintendo, I just assume plug in one of my retro systems and play Mario Brothers for about an hour. You know, like that's kind of where I'm at with that. But at the end of the day, I know this is very popular with other people, so I'm not surprised it's sold out. But it's my understanding now, Flash, is this like basically the consoles they have in here? Was it something to do with this tariff shit, or what's going on with that? What is all that about? Is that
people are claiming they have like 2 million sitting around in warehouses?
Yeah.
Yeah, whether or not that's true, I don't know, but I'm sure they have a significant amount. They've claimed that there's a significant amount sitting around in warehouses. What that number is, I don't know, but I'm sure that they've been preparing for a while, stocking up the best they can. But it doesn't look like they're going to be able to meet demand.
Well, Nintendo, I never can when it initially launches one of these things.
Well, sometimes they do artificial scarcity.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some people who have the theory they have that, but
sure, I guarantee you they were, because remember, it took like 2 years for that to even show up on shelves. Like they were fucking around on that for sure.
Well, with this situation, though, do you really think the tariff? I guess my question is, do you really think the tariffs are a real thing, or are they just using that as an excuse this time, or what's going on with that? Does anybody know besides maybe Flash on that? But
aren't these coming from Japan? Where are these coming from?
They ship them from Vietnam.
Vietnam, I was going to say, yeah.
Vietnam seemed pretty eager to make a deal, so I don't think you'll see that with Vietnam.
But they're a vassal state for China, so they may. Some things could get a little wonky, but they'll work it out. I think it feels like the tariffs is turned into the latest excuse du jour for price hikes.
Yeah, it's an escape hatch.
I'm seeing it everywhere, and that's why I'm asking. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was interesting news. That's the big gaming news of the week thus far. Was there anything else, real quick, Flash, before we move back into super chats and start losing some of our panelists here?
Yeah, there's the scalper situation on eBay, and then people are posting fake listings to try to fuck with the scalpers, which is kind of comical, but also Also bad because people will pay for it. So scalpers have these things going for from $700 to thousands of dollars, and you're a fucking idiot if you pay thousands of dollars for a Switch 2. I'm going to tell you that right now. But the people are fed up with that, so they're making read the description posts and selling prints, like pictures of the Switch 2, for regular retail price. But the problem is people are going to fall for that shit and buy it. And that's why I don't like it. But
yeah, I can see that causing more confusion than it is actually helping.
When you filter lowest first in price, those are going to pop up first.
Yeah, but like you said, people are just going to buy those, and you're just going to have a pissed off person because they thought they bought a console they're not going to get.
Yeah, and you're going to lose your account if you're doing that because that's a TOS violation.
Oh, I had a quick question for Flash while he's here. What's the vibe so far on the reaction to Oblivion remaster? Because I was really surprised they released it day of when they announced they started talking about it. But then everybody's reactions were they seem to be good. But then there's that one thing about the body types that everybody kept freaking out about. So
yeah, it's fun because they do that in the character creator, but in the game it's still male and female all the way. So it's almost like a pointless virtue signal.
Yeah.
Because after that, it's just fine. I have 6 hours into the game. I've been enjoying the hell out of it. I haven't even done anything other than explore.
I heard something about Nexus mods was banning we're banning people for modding it back to male female, like a simple little like text switch or something. Have you heard anything about that?
Changed that and let that mod stay up. Probably
they did.
Because
okay.
they're losing traffic to this other. I forget the name of it, but there's another mod site that's kind of rising because they don't do that bullshit. And I think they're finally starting to see that hit their web traffic. So,
okay,
and that's how you make change. That's why they put that back up because people are starting to go away from Nexus mods because they ban so much nonsense.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
No problem. That's what he's here for. STR Red Wolf says, "What will people do? Buy a Valve Steam Deck for half as much and play PC games on that instead?"
I love my Steam Deck. I endorse the hell out of it.
The thing with Nintendo, though, is they always have a lot of the exclusive titles, though, right? That's their part of
and most of the time, they're fucking great.
Yep. It's been a well-run company. I'm not playing Oblivion because I can't play as a nematode.
I've been playing Mario and Zelda my entire life, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I mean, that's the power and quality of their games.
Well,
they don't release broken games, and they're all usually pretty solid.
Yes, the brilliance of Miyamoto.
Fixie Clary.
He is a genius.
Yes, a genius. Yep.
Fixie Clary says, "I'm getting the Switch 2 by itself. I can't wait. I have plenty of Switch games. I can play it. Uses USB-C. And yes, you can plug the power bank in." So that answers that question.
I'm sold.
And I think we're going to lose Scribe and Chris here, so I'm going to let them do their outs real quick before we get back into Super Chats. We do have a few about this topic, so stick around, kids, if you're interested. But Chris, go ahead and tell the folks where they can find you.
Hey, they can find me at Chris Brawley on X. They can find the news platform at bleedingfool.com or bleedingfool on X. And kudos to Yellow Flash. I think isn't today your launch day for Golden Patriot?
Yes, we're going to get to that here in just a few minutes.
Good luck with that. It looks good. I think it's been a long time coming. I hope you have a great launch day today, and I hope you hit your goal very quickly, sir. So good luck.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Guys, have a good weekend. I'll see if I can dip in next week. As you know, next Friday is the big day for my daughter, so we'll see how it goes. But have a great weekend. Good to see everybody.
You too. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Chris.
And Scribe, you also have to leave us. So what do you? Oh, yeah. So what do you got going on?
Let's see. So last night we looked at a TEDx about how TikTok will save the world. It didn't go well for the speaker, but that's okay.
Or TikTok.
But yeah, in about 2 hours at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern. I've got my DEI Death Watch show, sort of like we looked at CBS the other day with its DEI programs and such. I'm going to be profiling Marriott, Delta Airlines, and Cisco Systems with a whole bunch of things that they've published in the past. Some they've scrubbed from the world in the interim because of, pressure, and just see exactly what constitutes their programs as they're individually either doubling down or trying to hide away from what they've been up to. So that'll be in about 2 hours. And elsewise, hope everybody has a good rest of their Friday and weekend. Good luck on the comic launch Flash. Hope that goes well.
Thank you.
And nice seeing you, Script Doctor, Paul, Tom, Andre, and Chris, now departed.
Nice to be
All
seen.
right. Take care.
Yes.
Bye,
guys.
All right.
Did you see Revenge of the Sith made $3 million yesterday?
No, but I'm not. That's pretty good. I'm not surprised.
3.4 million in previews.
I still want to know why they skipped 2. And why this one?
Because everybody, that's the one everyone cares.
And they didn't do the 3D version of this one either. I don't think either. But yeah.
Good.
It exists.
I fucking hate 3D, so
I don't want to get into that. So let's keep going here.
It's
We got
sitting there with
Pilgrim
those
Media.
big stupid fucking glasses.
Anyway,
on.
Pilgrim Media says I have a PS4 Pro and 40 discs cheap. It's all I need. I added a 2 terabyte internal hard drive or
SSD, solid state drive.
How are you able to incorporate a 2 terabyte drive into the PS3? Is that what he said? Into the PS3?
You have
or
to
the
open
PS4?
it.
Yeah.
PS4 Pro, he said.
Oh, Pro.
You have
Okay.
to format it
Yeah, I
too
know,
with that FAT40 setting. And
I know,
shit.
because I thought he said PS3 for a second there. Because for the PS3, even if you had a 2 terabyte hard drive, it would only read 1 terabyte of it.
Yep.
I've never done
hack. There is a hack for it. We hacked it.
I hacked it as well, but it was still only ever able to read 1 terabyte, even if it was a 2 terabyte.
You don't know
hard
my
drive.
son.
I guess not.
I didn't know Revenge of the Sith is getting a full release. Like I'm looking at the theater times, man. It's like going to
20th anniversary, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 20th anniversary, just like for the yeah. But they did these for some reason individually instead of doing like the special editions. Because remember, he did Phantom Menace 20th anniversary. That had because he actually did all 6 movies in 3D. They were going to do this big release, and Phantom Menace had come out just before Disney had bought Star Wars. And when they bought Star Wars, they decided not to do the re-release of Attack of the Clones for some reason. And then now for this anniversary, they did Phantom Menace, and again, not Attack of the Clones, but they did Revenge of the Sith. So go figure on that. And I get it. I agree with you. Like Attack of the Clones is the worst of the 3, but
this is the best. This is the only one I watch regularly. It's like, in my opinion, you could just watch this one and you kind of get the feel of everything.
The weird thing about it is, though, is maybe Attack of the Clones probably feels the closer to the Star Wars original trilogy of all 3, but outside of maybe a Phantom Menace. But
I might go see this tomorrow.
Yeah, go for it.
I was going to go see Sinners again, but I think I might go see this.
It'll probably look like a muddy mess, I'll tell you that. But yeah. Anyway, that being said, because it's just the same file they have on fucking Disney Plus that they're putting in theaters. Don't think you're getting to see anything special. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just fun to go to the theaters.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. Yeah. To see it in a big screen. It's cool. Bass Player 2011 Iffy says, this is the first time Nintendo has raised their console prices since the Wii. And yes, the PS3 was the most expensive Blu-ray player ever at launch. Yes, it was. So it was the same thing with DVD. But actually, I think it was a cheaper DVD player than the most DVD players were at that time, though. Because the first few DVD players were like $500, $600, $700.
That's true.
Like
That's why I've always bought consoles, because it's like for a little bit more, I can get so much more than just a fucking standard player.
I mean, my first DVD player was technically in a computer, so I don't count that as like a standalone player. But my first standalone player was like $300, like 300 and some, and that was on
That's
sale.
almost the same price as a PS2.
Yeah,
at the time. So it's like, why wouldn't I just get the fucking PS2? Because
Yeah.
it plays games as well.
Yeah, my first Blu-ray player was also the PlayStation 2. The only reason I got a dedicated Blu-ray player later on, as soon as the prices came down and quality went sufficiently up, was I needed a player that could be hacked in order to play American
region
Blu-rays.
free. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and see,
I thought
with,
were DVDs region per like
Yes,
region?
they were all locked.
yes.
Yeah, they were
all
locked.
of them. 100%.
Blu-rays.
Blu-rays too.
Yep. The only
So
one
that's
so
new
far,
with 4K.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
I love, because I had to buy Commando from fucking Italy.
Yeah.
which is weird, but it's still in English. But it's like,
You'll get
why is
lucky
that
and
not
so-
over here? And
a lot of
why
those
can't I
are
buy an
region-free.
American? Why can't I buy the 4K Commando in America?
Well,
it's
you'd
coming.
be surprised at how many amazing releases you have in Europe.
I know there's a whole bunch. I bought a couple. I got Red
So
Sonja.
now basically, yeah,
I had to
Red
buy
Sonja is
imported.
a star one, yeah.
Austin Powers. I had to import. There's a whole. I have quite a few UK and
Yeah.
I even got some Japanese releases.
Indeed. Anyway, that's why I needed, back in the day, I needed a dedicated Blu-ray player in order to be able to play region-free.
And I watched too many movies, so I didn't want to destroy my PS2 watching movies. And I already had problems because I got one of the first PS2s that came out, and it was nothing but a pain in the ass. It would only work half the time, and it kept overheating and shit. And same thing with my PS3. I got one of the earlier PS3s, and it kept over. I had to send that bitch in like 3 or 4 times. I called the lemon law on those bastards, is what I did. I ended up getting a new PS3 out of it, but I ended up getting one of the newer ones, and I was pissed because it wouldn't play the old games. So I ended up getting screwed out of the deal in the end. Go One for One sends in Mexican $50. It says, remember Raggy, their old CEO, kept Nintendo worst vices at bay. Nintendo was going to sell Wii Sports separately. Raggy stopped them. Well, yeah, that's true.
I was waiting for Weed Sports.
Yeah, man.
Dave-
Miss
Dave's
Ticketrunk
not
says,
here,
check
man.
the Rumble rants. And yes, we do have a couple Rumble rants here. We got Kalekioki over on the Rumble side who says, one of two, the console will be front loaded for sure, but the Switch didn't reach 150 million units sold in a year. I hear plenty say they're not getting one, or at least are waiting to see if the console peaks around 50 to 80 million units sold. That's a severe underperformance and could be even considered a flop. A lot of negative conversation surrounding it. So yeah, so there's that aspect to it too, I guess. Flash, do you got anything to say about that part of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to do.
Yeah. But they're basically saying some people are going to wait and see. I'm sure some people just aren't even going to have a choice at this point. You're just going to have to wait and see because
Maybe
it's
like
gone.
go DSP.
Yeah. So
Get
all
a troll
right.
to cancel your pre-order.
Yeah, what was that all about? I saw you saying something about that.
Because he fucking flashed his order number and his address and his name. So some troll fucking went to Walmart chat and told him they were him and canceled it.
Oh, I thought
He
you
showed
said he
all of his
canceled it.
information.
I thought you meant he canceled it. That's where I misinterpreted. Okay, gotcha.
Well, that was stupid to basically give up all that information.
He flashed his order number for like half a second, which is enough for a screenshot.
Enough. Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. He fucked up.
Okay, so he basically doxed himself. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought you
Like,
meant
here's
he
my
did
address, guys, right here.
I misunderstood the story. I thought it was like a story where he did the order and then he canceled it on purpose, like out of like to make a statement. And I'm like, what the hell? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, no, that would be really stupid.
That's what I was trying to figure out. So now it makes more sense. All right. Yeah, that's too bad. But yeah, don't do that kind of shit, kids. That's why I usually make sure what's on screen before I share.
Don't dox others and don't dox yourself either.
Yeah. But with that, we are caught up on all the super chats and everything. So, Paul, do you have anything coming up that you want to plug?
Let's see now. My sink is plugged.
Call a plumber.
Yeah.
Don't put Drano down it. Apparently
Why
that
not?
ruins your pipes.
Oh, does it? But it smells so good. It smells like Victor.
Yeah. You sniff it and it gets you real
Yeah.
high.
I published my review of a show that nobody will care about. The Hulu show, the Mid-Century Modern, the new very gay show featuring Lang. But I'm having a really good time reviewing stuff that the rest of the internet is not or the rest of YouTube is not piling on. I'm actually charting a course away from the usual topics. Although I do get drawn into the odd common theme. But for the most part, I'm just going out there reviewing stuff. And, please watch my review of Mid-Century Modern. and so I can, keep my revenue going and buy the fun toys that I need.
Awesome sauce. Script, anything to plug?
Yeah, this Saturday on Scripts on Saturday, we're talking about a screenplay called American Monsters, which is about a senator and his estranged son fighting to survive when they're stranded on a hunting ranch with mythical beasts. So yeah, it's supposed to be a very silly comedy survival film, supposedly.
Interesting.
We'll see if that's actually the case this Saturday.
And
It doesn't include a black woman president?
No.
Hyperguyver says we're not caught up. Where are we missing one, Hyperguyver? Unless I don't have it on my end. Do you have it, Andre? Because I'm not. I don't have it.
What are we missing?
I don't know. As far as I know, we got everything. But while we're figuring that out, Flash has reported you have a launch going on today.
Yeah, I got a trailer I can show you.
All right, well,
I'll pull it up here to be a little look.
I got it here actually, but if you want to, go ahead.
Hold on. Video file.
You can set it up.
There you go.
The year is 1945. World War II rages from the halls of Buckingham Palace to the shores of the Nile River. Even now, the clash between freedom and tyranny is about to boil over. Somewhere in North Africa, two American flyboys are soaring high on a reconnaissance mission, searching for clues to a peculiar new obsession, with the occult gripping the Nazi high command.
Not very diverse.
Yeah.
Where
Well,
are
it
the
is.
Chinese? Where are the Chinese Nazis?
No, just going back with the old school, the actual Nazis.
Let's just stop it. Nice
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah, thank you. I like it too. They did a good job with it. Yeah, I'm excited about it. We've been working on it for a while, and it's done. So I think you'll like it. Lots of action. Pretty much a lot of the stuff that I like about comics and manga, and kind of rolled it all into something I thought would be enjoyable. Want to go back to simpler times in comics, like back in the golden age. So that's kind of what we're going for with this, and I'm excited for people to actually read it. I think you're gonna like it.
Awesome. Well, I think I got the right link for those guys in the chat for the mods, but if not, send it to me again just to make sure. And Hyperguyver sent in this super chat. This is the one we missed. I don't know how I missed it unless I accidentally skipped it or it just didn't get saved in the reserves. But Hyperguyver says, Flash, are the level and map designs the same on Oblivion? I want to know if my old strat guide will still hold up.
I believe so. I actually never played the original, so I'm not the best person to ask. I don't know why I never did. I know I was going to get to it, but I never did. And then before you knew it, Skyrim came out.
Oh yeah, Skyrim was way better than Oblivion.
I'll let you know when I'm not even that far into it, but I like it so far, a lot.
And I could not tell you. So,
well, you can do third person in it, Tom.
Okay.
Well, you hate
I don't
first
have time
person
to play games. That's true.
So you can do third person the entire time.
That's cool. I might even have that game for whatever system it was before. I don't even know. I've got games I've never opened because I just
so
didn't
do
have
I,
time.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not that I hate games. I just don't have the time. And when I do play games, it's stuff I can get in and out of real quick, like baseball and shit like that. Just cause. So I don't get distracted. Because I got so distracted with Red Dead Redemption 2 that a lot of shit didn't get done. Yeah, so that being said, Andre, we dropped another video this morning. We dropped one last night. What else did we get?
No, I
anything else
think
coming
that
up?
about sums it up. We'll have more videos dropping over the course of the weekend as well. Do check out the videos that we have dropped in the last 24 hours, though, because this platform really has issues letting people know that we drop videos right now. So that's an issue. We kind of need you guys to watch them, to like them, and ideally, if you can, help share them. And just stay tuned to and check out the channel. Like, don't just wait for notifications. Just check the channel every now and then. Beyond that, Tom, any special streams this weekend?
I'm sure we'll be doing something on Midnight's Edge After Dark, which is a separate channel. Check that out. Make sure you haven't been unsubscribed for both channels. And other than that, no, I should be on Flashcast, I believe, tomorrow night, most likely. And probably pop the Matt Kadish group over there, the Salty Nerd podcast deal on tomorrow afternoon. So, yeah. Other than that, you never know where I'll pop up. So it is time for
some koalas in the rain.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala.